Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, dear devotees, and pranams. Thank you very much for joining in for our Krishna book study session. Let's start with prayers. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udhirayet. Nashtaprayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhakti Bhavati Naishtake Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Cha Nanda Gopakumaraya Govindaya Namo Namaha Namo Pankajanabhaya Namo Pankajamaline Namo Pankajanetraya Namaste Pankajangraye Pahi Pahi Mahayogin Deva Deva Jagatpate Nanyam Twadabhayam Pashe Yatra Mrityu Parasparam Krishna Krishna Mahabaho Bhaktanam Abhayankara Tvami Bodhayamananam Apavargosi Samshrute Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadhamayam Tadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Udpadakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavam Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sujivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Shri Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitam Scha Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Nidhi Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Paschatyaresha Tarine Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradhayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gauradushe Namaha Panchatattvatmakam Krishnam Bhakta Rupa Swarupakam Bhaktavataram Bhaktakyam Namami Bhakta Shaktikam He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kant Radha Kant Namosude Taptakanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanusude Devi Pranamami Haripriye Panchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya eva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Gurave Gaurachandraya Radhikaya Taralaye Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tadbhaktaya Namo Namaha Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langayate Girim Yat Kripatamam Vande Shri Gurun Dinatarinam Paramananda Madhavam Shri Krishna Chaitanyamishwaram Harihi Om Tatsat. Hare Krishna, dear devotees, Dhanut Pranams. Now we are starting, continuing actually with chapter number 88 of the Krishna book. So yesterday we were reading about when a devotee is bereft of everything. We were talking about example of how Srila Prabhupada lost his, his entire pharmacy business went in losses, and Srila Prabhupada took this as an opportunity to give up the Grihastha ashram. At the same time, his wife also was not very favorable, so he left the Grihastha ashram. He took up the Vanaprastha ashram. He went to Radha Damodar temple and started writing the Srimad Bhagavatam, and then subsequently took sannyas ashram. So like that, whatever the Lord does, a devotee always takes it as the mercy of the Lord, and sees how he can engage himself or herself in the service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So that is the consciousness and mood of a devotee. A devotee never asks that, okay, I'm chanting Hare Krishna, I'm practicing devotional service. So what will I get in return from the Lord? I should not get any problems, because there is no assurance. There are no problems in this world for a devotee, right? But what is the assurance that Krishna gives? Yoga Kshemam Ahamyaham, right? Krishna will give us intelligence how to tackle all these problems and yet remember Krishna and serve Krishna. So that is the intelligence that the Lord gives the devotees, right? That a devotee is able to grow through all the situations in the material world and yet be able to remember Krishna, yet be able to surrender Krishna, right? Krishna Vina, Krishna Shakti Vina Tahe Pravartan, right? Without the mercy of Krishna, one cannot even preach Krishna consciousness. One cannot practice Krishna consciousness without the mercy of Lord Sri Krishna. I was hearing a very beautiful bhajan. That is, I'm just forgetting this. I was hearing it. It says, without Krishna Kripa, one cannot even practice devotional service. One cannot chant Hare Krishna. It's required. The mercy of Lord Krishna is required to chant Hare Krishna also. Like that, it was very, very beautiful song, right? So to practice Krishna consciousness and to preach Krishna consciousness, we need the mercy of Krishna. So what does a devotee do in all circumstances? Mama Janmani Shware Bhavatat Bhaktir Ahituki Tvai. I simply want to serve you, Lord. Please give me the right intelligence so that I may grow through every situation and remember you in all situations. And in this way, let me grow in Krishna consciousness. That is the consciousness of a devotee. All right. So let's move ahead. We were continuing to read that particular chapter. We'll start with the next paragraph here. Okay, when a devotee is thus put into so-called miserable conditions. Okay, from there we start reading. Archana Sri Radha Mataji, go ahead.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Dandavat Pranams. When a devotee is thus put into so-called miserable conditions and bereft of riches and family, he tries to revive his original position of material opulence. But although he tries again and again, Krishna again and again takes away all his resources. Thus, he finally becomes disappointed in the material activities, and in that stage of frustration in all endeavors, he can fully surrender unto Supreme Personality of Godhead. Such persons are advised by the Lord from within to associate with devotees. By associating with devotees, they naturally become inclined to render service to Personality of Godhead, and they immediately get all facilities from the Lord to advance in Krishna consciousness. The non-devotees, however, are very careful about preserving their material condition of life. Generally, therefore, such non-devotees do not come to worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but worship Lord Shiva or other demigods for immediate material profit. In Bhagavad Gita, it is said, therefore, Kanshanta karmanam siddhim yajanta iha devataha. The karmis, in order to achieve success within this material world, worship the various demigods. It is also stated by Lord Krishna that those who worship the demigods are not mature in their intelligence. The devotees of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, therefore, because of their strong attachment for him, do not foolishly go to the demigods. Lord Krishna said to King Yudhishthira, my devotee is not deterred by any adverse condition of life. He always remains firm and steady. Therefore, I give myself to him and I favor him so that he can achieve the highest success of life. The mercy bestowed upon the tried devotees of Supreme Personality is described as Brahma, which indicates that the greatness of that mercy can be compared only to all pervasive greatness of Brahman. Brahma means unlimitedly great and unlimitedly expanding. That mercy is also described as Paramam, for it has no comparison within this material world. And it is also called Sukshma, very fine. Not only is the Lord's mercy upon the tried devotee great and unlimitedly expansive, but it is of the finest quality of transcendental love between the devotee and the Lord. Such mercy is further described as Chinmatram, completely spiritual. The use of the word matram indicates absolute spirituality with no tinge of material qualities. That mercy is also called Sat, eternal, and Anantakam, unlimited. Since the devotee of the Lord is awarded such unlimited spiritual benefit, why should he worship the demigods? A devotee of Krishna does not worship Lord Shiva or Brahma or any other subordinate demigod. He completely devotes himself to the transcendental loving service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Shukadev Goswami continued, the demigods headed by Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva, including Lord Indra and Indra, Chandra, Varuna, and others, are apt to be very quickly satisfied or very quickly angered by the good or ill behavior of their devotees. But this is not so with the Supreme Personality of Godhead Vishnu. This means that every living entity within this material world, including the demigods, is conducted by the three modes of material nature, and therefore the quality of ignorance and passion are very prominent within the material world. Those devotees who take blessings from the demigods are also infected within the material qualities, especially passion and ignorance. Lord Sri Krishna has therefore stated in Bhagavad Gita that to take blessings from the demigod is less intelligent, because when one takes benediction from demigods, the result of such benedictions are temporary. It is easy to get material opulence by worshipping demigods, but the result is sometimes disastrous. As such, the benedictions derived from demigods are appreciated only by less intelligent class of men. Persons who derive benediction from demigods gradually become puffed up with material opulence and neglectful of their benefactors.
Thank
May
you,
I Hare Krishna Mataji. Thank you, Mataji.
Hare Krishna. So, akama sarva kamova moksha kamudharadi tivrena bhakti yogena yajeta purusham param. Right? There is this beautiful verse which says that even though in our current stage of sadhana bhakti, we may have so many desires, our exclusive desire is not just service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but we may want 4 or 5 other things which we need as part of our situation in this material world, right? Whatever be the situation, right? Wherever we are located, we may want certain desires to be fulfilled. Like, for example, someone may want to get a good job, someone may want to get a car, someone may want some material comforts of life, so that they can practice Krishna consciousness. Even within devotees, there may be devotees who want some comforts, because if there are comforts, then whom are we going to utilize the comforts for? We're going to utilize that comforts in the service of the Lord. And even if we enjoy a little bit of comforts, that is only going to enable us to perform our devotional service better, right? At least that's what the devotee thinks. If he wants some material comforts, he thinks that this will help me, enable me, right? Generally, I also remember when we used to go for yatra, right? I always want a bedroom with attached bathroom. Some devotees are so wonderful. They stand in line and they, use that common this thing. Right? But for me, if there is no attached bathroom, then there is no way I can go for Mangala Arati. Right? People wake up at 2:30 and all for this. Right? But devotees may feel, at least I felt that, having an attached bathroom would mean that I can wake up, all 4 of us have to take bath and go for Mangala Arati at 4:30, which means that, we need to work backwards. Right? We cannot wake up before 2 o'clock. Then we may not be able to be refreshed in the dham. Right? We may want to sleep in the afternoon. We want to doze off, etc. Right? So at least that's what I thought. Right? Maybe my consciousness would have been better if I practice that austerity of actually going into the common this thing and take that time. Right? And do it. Okay, maybe that would have helped. But in my mind, I was thinking that I can practice better devotional service if I have this comfort. Right? And I'll be able to attend Mangala Arati, then I'll be able to remain fresh throughout the day, right? Because we don't have to wake up so very early like that, right? So I pray, I don't have to pray to the Lord, but I desire that, and we make our arrangements in such a way because we think that is what is helpful for us. So similarly, some other devotees may want certain other material benefits because they think that will help them do devotional service better, right? But even if we have, that is not wrong, right? To want some comforts so as to utilize it in the service of the Lord is not wrong, but to pray to the demigods for it is wrong, right? If you have some desires, you should pray to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Sri Krishna. Oh Krishna, I think that will help me in performing devotional service. So if it pleases you, please help me get it, or whatever is our prayer to the Lord. Right? We always say that if it gives pleasure to the Lord, because in any case, whatever gives pleasure to the Lord only will happen. Right? Because even the Maya or the energy of the external energy of the Lord is also working for the pleasure of the Lord. There is nothing that happens without the sanction of the Lord. So if it pleases the Lord, then the Lord will sanction it and then everything will happen, right? So whatever material desires we may have, the bottom line is we don't have to artificially give up those desires, but rather we should pray only to the Supreme Lord for fulfillment of those desires, right? Whether we have no desires, whether we are full of desires, kama, sarva kamova, even if we desire liberation, moksha kama udardi, tivrena bhakti yogena, tivrena, that means with staunch faith and determination and devotion. If you worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead, yajante purusham param, only the Supreme Personality of Godhead we need to worship. Then what happens, right? What happened to Dhruv Maharaj? He had so many material desires, right? But what happened to Hiranyakashipu? He also had so many material desires. But Dhruv Maharaj got purified because he worshipped the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Sri Krishna, Lord Vishnu. Whereas Hiranyakashipu got tricked in terms of Brahma actually giving him everything that he wanted. Like not in the sky, not in the earth, not within the house, outside the house, not with any weapons. Everything was satisfied, apparently. All his wishes were fulfilled. But Lord Vishnu came and killed him, right? Because immortality is what he wanted, which even Brahma does not have, right? And Brahma told in so many words. But Hiranyakashipu was adamant that he was asking so many things. He was trying to dupe even Brahma, the person who was giving him the benediction. So that is the attitude of a demon. There is a devotee, Dhruv Maharaj, although he had many desires, he worshipped the Lord. And then the Lord purified his heart in such a way that Dhruv Maharaj said that I was praying for broken pieces of glass. But then now I've got the darshan of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, which is like a diamond in front of broken pieces of glass. So isn't it very wonderful that whatever material desires we have, if the Lord fulfills them, well, very good, then utilize that in the service of the Lord. If the Lord does not fulfill, then also the Lord gives us the understanding of why it is not helpful for us, right? That intelligence also given with the Lord. So that the devotee continues to practice devotional service like that. Okay, let's move ahead. Okay, Shukadeva Goswami addressed King Parikshit. Okay, Sindhu Mataji, go ahead. Then Sridhar Prabhu, then Anusha Mataji. Anyone else wants to read can raise your hands. Yes, go ahead.
Hare Krishna Mataji, pranams.
Shukadeva Goswami addressed King
Hare
Parikshit.
Krishna Prabhupada ki jai. Shukadeva Goswami addressed King Parikshit thus: My dear King, Lord Brahma, Lord Vishnu, and Lord Shiva, the principal trio of the material creation, are able to bless or curse anyone. Of this trio, Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva are very easily satisfied, but also are very easily angered. When satisfied, they give benedictions without consideration, and when angry, they curse the devotee without consideration. But Lord Vishnu is not like that. Lord Vishnu is very considerate. Whenever a devotee wants something from Lord Vishnu first considers whether such a benediction will ultimately be good for the devotee. Lord Vishnu never bestows any benediction which will ultimately prove disastrous to the devotee. By his transcendental nature, he is always merciful, and therefore, before giving any benediction, he considers whether it will prove beneficial for the devotee. Since the Supreme Personality of Godhead is always merciful, even when it appears that he has killed a demon, or even when he apparently becomes angry towards a devotee, his actions are always auspicious. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is therefore known as all good. Whatever he does is good. One second.
Okay. Okay, Sridhar Prabhu, please go ahead. As for the benedictions given by demigods.
Hare Krishna, Dandot Pranam Mataji. As for the benediction given by demigods, Lord Shiva, there is the following historical incident cited in the great sages. Once Lord Shiva, after giving the benediction to the demon named Vrigasura, the son of Saguni, was himself interrupted in a very dangerous position. Vrigasura was searching after a benediction and trying to decide which is three presiding deities to worship in order to get it. In the meantime, he happened to meet a great sage Narada and consulted with him as to whom he should approach to achieve the quick result from his austerity. He inquired of these three deities named Lord Brahma, Lord Vishnu, and Lord Shiva, who is the most quicker satisfied. Narada could understand the plan of Daman, and he advised him, you had better worship Lord Shiva, then you will quickly get the desired result. Lord Shiva is very quickly satisfied and very quickly dissatisfied also. So you try to satisfy Lord Shiva. Narada also cited instance wherein the demon like Ravana and Banasura were enriched with a great opulence, simplified by satisfying the Lord Shiva with prayers. Because the great sage Narada was aware of the nature of the demon Mrigasura, he did not advise him to approach Vishnu or Lord Brahma. Persons such as Mrigasura, who is situated in the material mode of ignorance, cannot stick to the worship of Vishnu. After receiving the instruction from Narada, the demon Mrigasura went to the Kedarnatha, the pilgrim site of the Kedarnatha still exists near Kashmir. It is almost always covered by snow, but the part of the year during the month of July, it is possible to see the deity and devotees go there to offer their respects. Kedarnatha is for the devotee of Lord Shiva. According to the Vedic principle, when something is offered to the deities to eat, it is offered in a fire. Therefore, a fire sacrifice is necessary in all sorts of ceremonies. It is specially stated in the Shastras that God ought to be offered something to eat through the fire. The demon Mrigasura therefore went to the Kedarnatha and ignited the sacrificial fire to please Lord Shiva. After igniting the fire in the name of Lord Shiva, to please him, Mrigasura began to offer his own flesh by cutting it from his body. Here is an instance of worship in the modern mode of ignorance. In the Bhagavad Gita, different type of sacrifices are mentioned. Some sacrifices are to be in the mode of goodness, and some are in the mode of patience, and some are in the mode of ignorance. There are different kinds of tapasya and worship because there are different kinds of people within this world. But this ultimate tapasya, Krishna conscious, is the topmost yoga and the topmost sacrifice. As confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita, the topmost yoga is to think always Lord Krishna within the heart, and the topmost sacrifice is to perform the Sankirtana Yajna. In the Bhagavad Gita, it is stated that the worship of the demigods have lost their intelligence. As revealed later in chapter, Mrigasura wanted to satisfy Lord Shiva for the third-class materialistic objective, which is temporary and without real benefit. The asuras and the person within the mode of ignorance will accept the benediction from the demigods. In complete contrast, in the sacrifice of the mode of ignorance, the Archana Vidhi process for worshipping the Lord Shiva or Vishnu is very simple. Lord Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita that he accepts from his devotees even a little fruit, a flower, or some water, which can be gathered by any person, rich or poor. Of course, those who are rich are not expected to offer only a little water, little piece of fruit, or the little leaf or to the Lord. A rich man should offer according to his position. But if the devotee happen to be very clear poor man, the Lord will accept even the most meager offering. The worship of Lord Vishnu or Krishna is very simple and it can be executed by anyone in this world. But worship in the mode of ignorance, as exhibited by the Mrigasura, is not only very difficult and painful, but it is also a useless waste of time. Therefore, the Bhagavad Gita says that the worshippers of the demigods are benefit of intelligence. Their process of worship is very difficult, and at the same time, the result obtained by flickering the untemporary. Although Mrigasura continued his sacrifice for 6 days, he was unable to personally see Lord Shiva, which was his objective. He wanted to see him face to face and ask him for benediction. Here is another contrast between the demons and devotees. A devotee is confident that whatever he offers to the deity to full devotional service is accepted by the Lord. But the demon wants to see the worshipable deity face to face so that he can directly take the benediction. A devotee does not worship Vishnu or Lord Krishna for any benediction. So therefore, a devotee is called Akma, the free of desire. For the non-devotees is called Sarvakama, or desirous of everything. On the seventh day, the demon Mrigasura decided that he cut out of his head and offered to satisfy Lord Shiva. Thus he took a bath in the nearby lake, and without drying his body and hair, he prepared to cut off his head. According to the Vedic system, an animal to be offered as a sacrifice has to be bathed first, and while the animal is wet, it is sacrificed. When the demon was preparing to cut off his head, Lord Shiva became very compassionate. The compassion of is the symptom of the quality of goodness. Lord Shiva is called Trilinga, a mixture of three material qualities. Therefore, his manifestation of the nature of compassion is the sign of quality of goodness. The compassion, however, is present every living entity. The compassion of Lord Shiva was aroused not because of the demon was offering his flesh into the sacrificial fire, but because he was about to commit suicide. This is the natural compassion. Now, the common man sees someone preparing to commit suicide. He will try to save him. He does so automatically. This is no need to appeal to him. Therefore, when Lord Shiva appeared before the fire to check the demon from the suicide, it was not done as a very great favor to him. Lord Shiva touched.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Dandot Pranam, Mataji.
Thank you, Prabhu. Dandot Pranam. So, why is it said that Lord Shiva is not doing a great favor to him, right? Because Lord Shiva is now forced to give him a benediction, right? Generally, what are blessings? Blessings means somebody has to be so satisfied by our seva that they offer blessings from their heart, right? That's why we try to serve the Vaishnavas from the Vaishnavas' heart with gratitude when they bless us. That is good for us. It is not that we go behind a Vaishnava and, threaten him, give the dust of your lotus feet. Right? If you don't give me the dust, then I'm going to cause some trouble to you. Then that Vaishnava may, just to save his life, he may give the dust. Right? But that is not actual blessing. Right? So these things have to be taken in the mode of spirit and not just, taking the dust. Does not mean taking the dust, some or the other. No. Right? Taking the dust. Right? Bhaktapada Duliyara, Bhaktapada Jala, Bhakta Bhukta Avashesha, Tina Mahabala. These teen Mahabala, that is Bhaktapada Dhuli, the dust at the lotus feet of a pure devotee of the Lord. Bhaktapada Dhuliyara, Bhaktapada Jala, the water that has washed the lotus feet of a devotee. Bhakta Bhukta Avashesha, Tina Mahabala, and the remnants of the food that was offered to our gurus. Right? These three have great potency. But how did Narada the boy receive it? He served the Mahabhagavatas for 4 months, very nicely, pleased them, and then got the Ruchishta, then got their remnants. And that is why even when his mother, his only attachment, was removed, then immediately he started walking towards the north. Somebody was asking in one of the sessions, why north? Right? Why north? Because, in the Goloka Vrindavan is the topmost planet, which is in the north. Right? Om Bhur Bhuva Swaha. Right? And as we go up, the more and more we have less material desires, the more and more our spiritual consciousness is evolved. That is why it is said towards the north. Right? Narada also walks towards the north. And the topmost planet, the highest is Goloka Vrindavan Dham, isn't it? So like that, once your consciousness get evolved, Bhur, Bhuva, Swaha, then you have the Janaloka, Tapaloka, and then you have the highest planet, which is Brahmaloka, and then you have the Mahatattva, and then beyond that you have various planets, right? You have Kailash, you have Ayodhya, then you have Mathura, you have Dwaraka, and then you have Vrindavan Dham, right? Below you have all the Vaikuntha planets like that, right? So as you progress more towards the north, right, which is the upper direction, then it means you're becoming more and more spiritually evolved. That's what it means, moving towards the northern direction. Okay, so I was just remembering some question was there in the chat box, so I thought I'll address that. Okay, so what was I saying? Yeah, so here this Vrikasura, what he is doing, he is not trying to please Lord Shiva by giving him what he likes, right? So if you give a devotee what he likes, then he gets pleased and then he offers benedictions. That is another thing. But in this case, what is happening? He is just trying to cut off himself, right? And Lord Shiva is feeling why this person should give up his life. What does he want? Let me just give him, in disgust. I'm just going to give him what he wants. And in this way, let me see why is he doing all this, right? So in disgust, actually, he gives. So it is not actually giving any kind of favor to Vrikasura, because Vrikasura did not please Lord Shiva by his activities. So when a devotee or when a demigod or when Lord Sri Krishna himself is pleased, then he actually gives what is actually beneficial for the devotee. But even then, the demigods, they actually cannot give, they cannot not offer something which is not good. Like we discussed the other day, The relationship with the demigods is like that of a deal between a customer and a shopkeeper. The customer has money. He goes and asks the shopkeeper for cigarette packet. The shopkeeper gives him. The shopkeeper is not going to tell him it is not good for your health. Don't buy it. Right? That is the relationship between the demigods and not a devotee. Prabhupada says in a lecture, one cannot be a devotee of any demigod. Because kamastasya hritajnana prapadyate anya devataha. Somebody who surrenders or worships the demigods only has some ulterior motive of wanting to get some material benedictions. Right? So there is no worship. Worship means has to be done ahituki apratihata. Or even worship can only be done to the Supreme Lord. Even if there are some desires, if you ask the Supreme Personality of Godhead, we can be rest assured Krishna will not give us. If it is not good for us, Krishna will not give us. Right? And if you are willing to not have it because we are not getting it from Lord Shri Krishna, then that person is a devotee. Right? A devotee accepts any condition which is ordained to him by the Lord, because he knows the Lord is my supreme friend, the Lord is my supreme benedictor, and the Lord is my supreme well-wisher. In that case, a devotee is always praying to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, accepting every condition that the Lord places him in. And that is why the Lord also is favorably disposed to such a devotee who is sacrificing everything for the pleasure of the Lord. And the Lord will not give something that is not good for the devotee's spiritual progress. Whereas a demigod is obligated to give certain things just because the particular person is offering prayers as per the Vedic scriptures, and then a demigod is obligated to give him whether or not it's good for him or not. And hence it is a danger of not praying to the demigods but praying only to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Shri Krishna. Okay, let's see what happens to this Vrikasura. Right? This is Lord Shiva himself would be in the receiving end just because he offers a benediction. Right? So Lord Shiva himself is put into a danger. So we can see how Lord Shiva is obligated to give that blessing to that particular demon, right? Although he is not very pleased with the demon like that. Okay. Anusha Mataji, go ahead.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dhanavad Pranam, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Thank you, Mataji. Lord Shiva's touch saved the demon from committing suicide. His bodily injuries immediately healed and his body became as it was before. Then Lord Shiva told the demon, "My dear Vrikasura, you do not need to cut off your head. You may ask from me any benediction you like, and I shall fulfill your desire. I do not know why you wanted to cut off your head to satisfy me. I become satisfied even by an offering of a little water. Actually, according to the Vedic process, the Shivalinga in the temple or the form of Lord Shiva in the temple is worshipped simply by offering Ganges water, because it is said that Lord Shiva is greatly satisfied when Ganges water is poured upon his head. Generally, devotees offer Ganges water and the leaves of the Bilva tree, which are especially meant for offering to Lord Shiva and Goddess Durga. The fruit of this tree is also offered to Lord Shiva. Lord Shiva assured Vrikasura that he is satisfied by a very simple process of worship. Why then was he so eager to cut off his head, and why was he taking so much pain by cutting his body to pieces and offering it in the fire? There was no need of such severe penances. Anyway, out of compassion and sympathy, Lord Shiva prepared to give him any benediction he liked. When the demon was offered this facility by Lord Shiva, he asked for a fearful and abominable benediction. The demon was very sinful, and sinful persons do not know what sort of benediction should be asked from the deity. Therefore, he asked Lord Shiva to bless him with such power that as soon as he would touch anyone's head, it would immediately crack and the man would die. The demons are described in the Bhagavad Gita as dushkritis or miscreants. Kriti means very meritorious, but when du is added, it means abominable. Instead of surrendering unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the dushkritis worship different demigods to derive abominable material benefits. Although the dushkritis have brain power and merit, their merit and brain power are used for abominable activities. Sometimes, for example, materialistic scientists invent a lethal weapon. The scientific research for such an invention certainly requires a very good brain. But instead of inventing something beneficial to human society, they invent something to accelerate death, which is already assured to every man. They cannot show their meritorious power by inventing something which can save man from death. Instead, they invent weapons which accelerate the process of death. Similarly, Vrikasura, instead of asking Lord Shiva for something beneficial to human society, asked for something very dangerous to human society. Lord Shiva is powerful enough to give any benediction, so the demon could have asked something beneficial from him. But for his personal interest, he asked that anyone whose head would be touched by his hand would at once die. Lord Shiva could understand the motive of the demon, and he was very sorry that he had assured him whatever benediction he liked. He could not withdraw his promise, but he was very sorry in his heart that he was to offer him a benediction so dangerous to human society. Devotees of the personality of Godhead never asked any benediction from Lord Vishnu or Krishna. Even if they ask something from the Lord, it is not at all dangerous for human society. That is the difference between the demons and the devotees, or the worshippers of Lord Shiva and the worshippers of Lord Vishnu. While Shukadev Goswami was narrating the history of Vrikasura, he addressed Maharaj Parikshit as Bharata, referring to King Parikshit's birth in a family of devotees. Maharaj Parikshit was saved by Lord Krishna while in his mother's womb. Later, he could have asked Lord Krishna to save him again from the curse of a Brahmana, but he did not do so. The demon, however, wanted to become immortal by killing everyone with the touch of his hand. Lord Shiva could understand this, but because he had promised, he gave him the benediction. The demon, however, being very sinful, immediately decided that he would use the benediction to kill Lord Shiva and take away Gauri, Parvati, for his personal enjoyment. He immediately decided to place his hand on the head of Lord Shiva. Thus, Lord Shiva was put into an awkward position because he was endangered by his own benediction to a demon. This is an instance of a materialistic devotees misusing the power derived from the demigods. Can I go ahead, Mataji? Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Yanti, what is that? Kamastasya hritagyan prapadyate anya devataha. Right? So just to titillate the senses or to satisfy the unsatiable demands of the senses. Right? A demonic person wants to simply perform any kind of austerity, whether it means cutting one's flesh off or one's giving up one's head, etc., etc. Because the more in the mode of ignorance, the more they want to attain some benefits, but they're not logical. Right? At least a person who is in the mode of passion, at least he thinks, okay, if I work a little hard, then maybe I will get some result which is positive. Right? But people in the mode of ignorance, they work very hard and sometimes they are very lazy. They don't want to work also, but they don't know what to ask for also. Right? And that is why in Bhagavad Gita is also mentioned that those who are in the mode of ignorance, their beginning activities, and the beginning although also their activities are troublesome, like this person is cutting off the skin, he's going to cut off his head, etc. So while the activity is performed also, it is troublesome, and the end result is also troublesome. Right? Finally, he will run behind Shiva to keep his hand on Lord Shiva. And what will Lord Shiva? And Lord Shiva is he's also feeling very awkward. Why did I give him this benediction? No, he's running behind me. He wants to enjoy my wife. So Lord Shiva is also running away. Why? Because Lord Shiva, once the benediction is given, then it will work on anybody. It will work on Lord Shiva himself. So, and later on we see here how Lord Vishnu will come and, somehow take his mind off, Vrikasura by saying something, and because of which Lord Shiva's life will be saved. In fact, he will tell Vrikasura, why are you trusting this man? He is wearing snake on his snake around his neck. He's dressed with tiger skin, and he's got ashes all over the body. How do you think the benediction that is given will work? Just test it out. Put your hand on your head and test it out. And he puts his hand on his own head and he burns into ashes. Right? So in this way, Lord Vishnu comes even to protect Lord Shiva. When Lord Shiva is forced to give some benediction because of a particular person, because in the mode of ignorance, somehow or the other, he's doing all nonsensical things, and just because Lord Shiva is very compassionate, he comes, to ensure that he does not do further nonsense. But the work of an ignorant man is that he does foolish things in the beginning, and the end result also is only foolish, like that. Okay, let's move ahead without further deliberation. Karpakali Mataji, go ahead, and then Anusha Mataji can read. Sindhu Mataji can read. Yes, go ahead.
Krishna, Mataji, am I audible, Mataji? Without further deliberation, the demon Vrikasura approached Lord Shiva to place his hand on Lord Shiva's head. Lord Shiva was so afraid of him that his body trembled and he fled from the land to the sky and from the sky to the other planets until he reached the limits of the universe above the higher planetary systems. Lord Shiva fled from one place to another, but the demon Virkasura continued to chase him. The predominant deities of the other planets, such as Brahma, Indra, Chandra, could not find any way to save Lord Shiva but from the impending danger. Wherever Lord Shiva went, they remained silent. At last, Lord Shiva approached Lord Vishnu, who was situated within this universe on the planet known as Swetadeepa. Swetadeepa is the local Vaikuntha planet beyond the jurisdiction of the influence of the external energy. Lord Vishnu, in his all pervasive feature, remains everywhere, but wherever he remains personally is the Vaikuntha atmosphere. In the Bhagavad Gita, it is stated that the Lord remains within the heart of all living entities. As such, the Lord remains within the heart of many low-born living entities, but that does not mean he is low-born. Wherever he remains is transformed to Vaikuntha. So the planet within this universe known as Swetadeepa is also called Vaikuntha Loka. It is said in the Shastras that residential quarters within the forest are the mode of goodness. Residential quarters in the big cities, towns, and villages are in the mode of passion, and residential quarters in the in an atmosphere wherein indulgence in the four sinful activities of illicit sex, intoxication, meat eating, and gambling predominates are in the mode of ignorance. But the residential quarters in a temple of Vishnu, the Supreme Lord, are in Vaikuntha. It does not matter where the temple is situated, the temple itself, wherever it may be, is Vaikuntha. Similarly, the Swetadeepa planet, although within the material jurisdiction, is Vaikuntha. Lord Shiva finally enters Swetadeepa Vaikuntha. In Swetadeepa, there is a great saintly persons who are completely free from the envious nature of the material world and are beyond the jurisdiction of the four principles of the material activity, namely religiosity, economic development, sense gratification, and liberation. Anyone who enters into that Vaikuntha planet never returns to this material world. Or Narayana is celebrated as the lover of his devotees, and as soon as he understood that Lord Shiva was in danger, great danger, he appeared as a brahmachari and personally approached Lord Shiva to receive him from a distant place. The Lord appeared as a perfect brahmachari with a belt around his waist, a sacred thread, a deer skin, a brahmachari stick with the Raudra beads. Raudra beads are different from Tulasi beads. Raudra beads were used by the devotees of Lord Shiva. Just as the brahmachari Lord Narayana stood before Lord Shiva, the shining effulgence emanating from his body attracted not only Lord Shiva but also the demon Virkasura. Lord Narayana offered his respects and obeisances unto Virkasura just to attract his sympathy and attention. Thus stopping the demon, the Lord addressed him as follows: My dear son of Asaguni, you appear very tired, as if coming from very distant place. What is your purpose? Why have you come so far? I see that you are fatigued, so I request you to take little rest. You should not unnecessarily tire your body. Everyone greatly values his body because only with this body one can one fulfill all the desires of one's mind. We should not therefore unnecessarily give trouble to the body. The brahmachari addressed Vikasura as a son of Saguni just to convince him that he was known to his father Saguni. Vikasura then took the brahmachari to be someone known to his family, and therefore the brahmachari's sympathetic words appealed to him. Before the demon could argue that he had no time to take rest, Lord informed him about the importance of the body, and the demon was convinced. Any man, especially a demon, takes his body to be very important. Thus, Mutkasura became convinced about the importance of his body. Then, just to pacify the demon, Brahmachari told him, My dear Lord, if you think that you can disclose the mission for which you have taken this trouble to come here, maybe I shall be able to help you that your purpose will be easily served. Indirectly, the Lord informed him that because the Lord is in the Supreme Brahman, he could certainly be able to adjust the awkward situation created by Lord Shiva. The demon was greatly persuaded by the sweet words of Lord Narayana, the form of a brahmachari, and at last he disclosed all that had happened in regard to the benediction offered by Lord Shiva. The Lord replied to the demon as follows: I myself cannot believe that Lord Shiva was as in truth given such a benediction. As far as I know, Lord Shiva is not in a sane mental condition. When he had quarreled with his father-in-law Daksha, he had cursed to become Visakha, a ghost. Thus, he had become the leader of the ghosts in the hobgoblins. Therefore, I cannot put any faith in his words. But if you still have faith in the words of Lord Shiva, my dear King of Demons, then why don't you make an experiment by putting your hand on your own head? If the benediction proves false, then you can at once kill this liar, Lord Shiva, so that in the future he will not dare to give out the false benediction. In this way, by Lord Narayana's sweet words and by the expansion.
Sindhu Mataji, go ahead. In this
Yes,
way,
Mataji.
yeah.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Pronounce. In this way, by Lord Narayana's sweet words and by the expansion of a superior illusion, the demon became bewildered and he actually forgot the power of Lord Shiva and his benediction. He was thus very easily persuaded to put his hand on his own head. As soon as the demon did that, his head cracked as if struck by a thunderbolt, and he immediately died. The demigods from heaven showered flowers on Lord Narayana, praising him with shouts of all glories and all thanksgiving, and they offered their obeisances to the Lord. On the death of Rikasura, all the denizens in the higher planetary systems, namely the demigods, the Pitras, the Gandharvas, and the inhabitants of Janaloka, showered flowers on the personality of Godhead. Thus, Lord Vishnu, in the form of a brahmachari, released Lord Shiva from the impending danger and saved the whole situation. Lord Narayana then informed Lord Shiva that this demon, Rikasura, was killed as a result of his sinful activities. He was especially sinful and offensive because he wanted to experiment on his own master, Lord Shiva. Lord Narayana then told Lord Shiva, "My dear Lord, a person who commits an offense to great souls cannot continue to exist. He is vanquished by his own sinful activities. And this is certainly true of this demon who has committed such an offensive act against you. Thus, by the grace of the Supreme Personality of Godhead Narayana, who is transcendental to all the material qualities, Lord Shiva was saved from being killed by a demon." Anyone who hears this story with faith and devotion is certainly liberated from material entanglement as well as from the clutches of his enemies. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport of the 88th chapter of Krishna, the deliverance of Lord Shiva.
Krishna. Thank you.
Thank you,
Mataji.
Mataji.
Thank you all for staying. Today we completed chapter number 88. We have chapter number 89 and 90. So tomorrow we will continue with chapter number 89. Tomorrow is Thursday, right? Yeah, Thursday, Friday. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, we will do chapters 89 and 90. Once we complete Krishna book, hopefully, Krishna willing, on the 6th of April is Rama Navami. We will start the study of Ramayana. So I'll request devotees switch on your cameras. We'll have darshan. Meanwhile, we will do Harinam Sankirtan. Brahma Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Asatyadishadharine Raja Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jaya Gaura Nitai Jai, Jai Jagannath Jai, Jai Baladev, Jai Jai Subhadra Jai, Jai Sudarshan, Jai Bala Gopal Jai, Rukmini Vittal Jai, Prahlad Narsingha, Jai Lakshmi Narsingha Jai, Prahlad Narsingha Jai, Sadhu Swami Jai Guru Parampara Jai Jai Prabhupada Prabhupada Gurudev Gurudev Nitai Gaur Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol हरिनाम संकीर्तन महायज्ञ की जय। जगत गुरु श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। श्री गुरुदेव की जय। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल। हरे कृष्णा। थैंक यू श्रीधर प्रभु, अर्चना, श्री राधा माता जी, सिंधु माता जी, रजनीश प्रभु, शोभा माता जी, अनुषा माता जी, हरजीत माता जी, देवल माता जी, वीरेश कोरे प्रभु, Agavani Mataji, Sarva Gopesh Mataji. Okay, it's a regular devotees who joined in today. Thank you very much. We'll meet tomorrow morning, 4:30 onwards with Shastakam prayers, and then general offenses to be avoided while chanting the holy name. We'll have one session of the Japa meditation, and then we will continue with the chanting of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. And then closer to 7 o'clock, we will have the reading from chanting Hare Krishna. And then we'll do one round of chanting with the Holiness Vijayapataka Swami Shri Guru Maharaj, praying for the good health and long life of Guru Maharaj. And then we will chant one time the Panchatattva mantra and 3 times Hare Krishna Mahamantra for the good health of all the devotees. And then we'll end our Brahmamurta chanting session. And then we meet at 11:30 a.m. for continuing with Krishna book, chapter number 89. ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय। जगत गुरु श्रील प्रभुपाद श्रील गुरुदेव की जय। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल। Thank you devotees. Meet you all tomorrow morning 4:30 a.m.